can you please tell us what kind of meat a Sephardic is allowed to eat? Okay, the whole issue of kashrut has created a lot of confusion in the world, and sometimes zealous Baalei TeShuva have made the mistake of joining the cancel culture and thinking that it is righteousness. Now, unfortunately, this has happened even by big people. I'm not going to mention any names, don't ask me, but anyone who knows what I'm referring to. There are some really big people, some really big rabbis even, that have spoken against the kashrut industry to the extent that they have told people not to eat the kashrut, the meat of any place, only slaughter themselves, or have somebody that knows to slaughter, and don't trust anyone, don't rely on anyone. You shouldn't eat meat, you shouldn't eat chicken, you shouldn't eat anything. And this, Rabotai, is a mistake, and those that listen to them are making a mistake. Rav Ovadia himself called one of the people that said it and told him, you're making a mistake, don't get involved, you don't know enough about kashrut in order to make such judgment calls. There are people that are more knowledgeable than you, that know more than you. Don't do it. And unfortunately, some people listened to Rav Ovadia and some people did not listen to Rav Ovadia. But the point being, Rabotai, is that anyone that is simply joining this cancel culture, listening to people that are saying you shouldn't eat meat anywhere, is unfortunately practicing not righteousness, but apikosut, heresy. Why? Number one, Gdolei Ador know a lot more than you. If they say don't eat from anywhere, then you don't eat from anywhere. If they don't, then obviously you have the obligation. You have the obligation not to cancel out the whole world. You can't cancel out a kosher Jew just because you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. So of course, I'll tell you some things. Number one, a Sephardi Jew, actually all Jews, surely it is better to have your own shochet, your own butcher, your own slaughterer, slaughter the cow right in front of you. But the reality is, that is assuming that you know what you're talking about, where you would be able to tell that the shchita that he did was kosher, which you don't. Why? Because if you did, you'd probably slaughter the cow yourself or the chicken yourself. Number two, you would know what to look for when they open up the cow or the chicken, checking the lungs, checking the legs, seeing if there is whether they're checking tzomet gidim, whether there's stringencies being held, if they put shots. Sometimes they're not careful with the shots and they stick it in the legs, and that causes a little bit of a hole, and some people consider that even taref. Are you keeping that, not keeping that? People don't know what they're talking about. No, I heard this big rabbi, I heard this small rabbi, I heard my local rabbi, I heard my local friends. He said don't eat anywhere, and therefore I don't eat anything. I'm living off of plants. You, my friend, are an idiot. And not only an idiot, some will even call you an apikos for doing such things. Why? I'll give you an example. Number one, canceling a kosher Jew. Canceling a kosher Jew, saying that a kosher Jew is a liar without having a reason is, without having proof, without having legitimacy to it, is 100% a sin from the Torah. Number one. Number two, a lot of times people spread these videos where they show you the factory of chickens or of cows, and they show you, oh look, there's a line of chickens over here, and some of them are kosher, some of them are taref. That means that everything is taref. First of all, this is complete nonsense. Surely everybody needs to be careful, but to just assume that just because this guy's pointing and he says that one box is full of kosher and one box is taref, doesn't mean that they're selling both as kosher. Doesn't mean that they're selling both. You're saying they're not careful enough to your likings? Okay, they're not careful enough to your likings. You run a factory, maybe you do something better. But to just assume that they're not kosher and that everybody is a criminal, it's complete nonsense. Now then saying, no, they're doing it because all they care about is money. It's not true at all. Why? The rabbis are not doing it for money. The rabbis are just getting paid to do hashgacha. They don't own the factory. Very few rabbis own the factories. It's other people that are, they're paying the rabbis as employees. They're paying the rabbis as employees. It's not like what people think and how the news makes it seem, especially, people that like attention. They make everything seem like it's all tarif. Everything is people have to read. That's number 2. So just canceling all kashrut is nonsense. Number 1. Number 2. Number 3. As far as kashrut is concerned, if you're a Sephardi Jew, ideal is for you to eat Bet Yosef meat. Bet Yosef meat, if you have access to it, that's the ideal for you to eat. Now, does that mean that if it's not Bet Yosef, you're not allowed to eat it? No, it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that. Many people think it means that, but it doesn't mean that. First of all, there's no, most people consider both poultry and bakar, cows and, meat, really. But because we have to wait 6 hours for either one of them from meat to dairy. But they are a little bit different. But nonetheless, there is no Bet Yosef as far as chicken. There is no Bet Yosef as far as chicken or things like that. So chicken has a lot more easy to find chicken and kashrut for chicken. For meat, if you want to have Bet Yosef meat, sure, you have access to Bet Yosef meat that they get from Argentina, that they get from different places in America or and so on. You have Bet Yosef meat, for sure. But if it's not Bet Yosef, it doesn't mean that it's not kosher. It doesn't mean that it's not kosher. And it's not, you can't go to all your friends and say, oh, you're not eating Bet Yosef. Oh, you're eating tarif. It's not true. It's simply not true. Why is it not true? So to check for meat, a person needs to know a few things. Number 1, if you have, let's say, 2 legs of a cow. Hey, slaughter the cow, slaughter was kosher, everything is good. Okay. Took legs of the cow, took a piece of the cow, big piece of the cow, right? You have 2 pieces. 2 big giant pieces, right? Kosher, best. Somebody made a mistake with one of the shchitot, or the cow was tarif. There was a problem with the lungs, whatever. And he also had another piece, big piece, just like yours, but that was tarif. And he said, I'm going to leave it over here, I'm going to go to the bathroom. And he leaves the piece, and you didn't pay attention, and he comes back an hour and a half later to pick up the piece. He's like, give me the piece. Oh, I forgot which one it is. And you can't tell what it is. Now you have 3 pieces. You have 3 pieces, each worth tons of money. 2 of them for sure are kosher. One of them 100% tarif. 100% tarif. What do you do? What do you do? I would say 100% of the audience in the general public will say you have to throw them all out. And you would all be wrong. They are all kosher. You eat all of them. And Rabbeinu Yonah says if you don't, you are an apikos. Why? That's Da'at Torah. That's Da'at Torah. You made a mistake. Not you did it on purpose. You made a mistake. One of the 3. It's taref for sure. But you don't know which one it is. A mistake. Da'at Torah. We go after the majority. Now you're going to say, like I thought when I first learned this, no, isn't it 1 for 60? No, it's not. Not for that. Not for this particular issue. Not for this particular issue. For this particular issue, we go after the majority. The smallest amount of majority is 2 versus 1. Obviously, if it was 3 versus 2, same thing. If it was 5 versus 4, same thing. But 2 versus 1. One of them. 1 out of the 3 is for sure 100% tarif. But you don't know which one it is. You eat all 3 of them, and if you don't, you're on apikos. Your average person that thinks that, no, these people are not kosher, these rabbis are not kosher, the meat's not allowed, rebukes the whole community, rebukes it, doesn't know any of this, doesn't know nothing, doesn't know how to slaughter, doesn't know nothing. But they feel comfortable telling the whole world what to eat, what not to eat, what this, what that. So, that's another thing. You need to know that there are times that there is going to be mistakes. And the Torah already took it into consideration, where you're going to have 10 giant boxes of kosher stuff and there's a box lost in it. Mistake. Not on purpose. If it's on purpose, the whole thing is tarif. If it's on purpose, you put it in, then the whole thing is tarif. But if it's a mistake, we go after the majority. Meaning, you're going to have some tarif inside your plate from time to time, but according to the Torah, 100% kosher. 100% kosher. That's number one. Second thing is, there are some things that even 1,000-fold won't cancel out. 1,000-fold won't cancel out. What is it? A living bug, a living animal goes into the, let's say, the stew, or into the food. If you can't find it, the whole thing is tarif. You have a soup. You have a soup like they have like in the army bases. You know, a soup where the chavit, the thing is like multiple wine barrels, like one of those giant things the size of a house. You have one tiny little bug. Goes swimming in there, but you don't know where he is. You don't know where he went. You don't have some type of little animal traveling in there. Now, surely there's more soup, there's more meat, there's more chicken, there's more vegetable than the thing. A lot more than 60-fold, a lot more than 1,000-fold. You can't find it, the whole thing is tarif. You have to throw the whole thing out. Average person out there watching this doesn't know it. Thinks, nah, just a little bug. Just a little bug. I'm gonna throw out $5,000 worth of meat for this little bug, $5,000 worth of soup. Everybody's gonna starve for the whole day because come on, it's a little bug. Wrong, it's alive. 1,000-fold doesn't cancel out. 1,000-fold doesn't cancel out. So a person needs to know, don't talk about things you don't know what you're talking about. Start telling the whole world, oh no, look at this video, look, nothing's kosher. Rabbi such and such told me. Rabbi such and such doesn't know what he's talking about. Even though knows a lot. Knows a lot more than I could ever know about a lot of things. But he doesn't know more than Rav Ovadia. He doesn't know more than the people that are experts in shchita, experts in kashrut. Just because you're a good kiruv rabbi and you have some nice chidushim and you've helped thousands and thousands of people do tshuva doesn't mean you even have da'at Torah. Doesn't mean that you're always right. What do you think? That the people don't make mistakes? People make mistakes. And ego gets in the way many times. So it's important to know. A person needs to know you have to rely on experts. And you cannot just simply cancel out all the experts in the world. You know it better than everybody else. That's gava srucha. Disgusting gava. Now, as far as kashrut is concerned, a person needs to know, if you have Bet Yosef available to you in Sephardic, you get Bet Yosef. If you're Ashkenazi, you don't get Bet Yosef. You don't need to get Bet Yosef. Now, there are places where they're not going to sell you Bet Yosef. They don't have Bet Yosef. They don't carry Bet Yosef. Does that mean that everything they say is not kosher for Sfaradi? No, it doesn't mean that. Why? You have to call the kashrut. You have to call the butcher. Find out who's the meat. Tell them, do you check for the slichot? Do you check the slichot? The issues with the lungs that decide whether it's chalak, it's Bet Yosef or not for Sfaradim. Why? Why do you care? You say it doesn't have Bet Yosef, so why do you care if he checks or he doesn't check? Because this comes to an issue of sveka, double doubts. Meaning, first of all, there's some poskim that say that you don't need to do this. But aside from that, there are many meat houses and so on. They don't check for Bet Yosef. They just simply have the kosher cow and they put everything together. Whether it's Bet Yosef or it's not Bet Yosef, everything is mixed together. If everything is mixed together, both Sephardi and Ashkenazi Jews are allowed to eat it 100%. Now, if they remove all of the Bet Yosef that's there and they sell it separately, then you're not allowed, as a Sephardi Jew, you're not allowed to eat their meat. Not allowed to eat their meat, because you know that all of their meat is not Bet Yosef for sure. But if they put everything together, which is the vast majority vast majority of shochtim and so on and meat producers, they mix everything together. They don't separate the two. It's a big headache. You have to sell it separately. It's not something that everybody does. They simply put everything together, which means that you can rely on a sfika, a double doubt, that the meat that you got, that you're eating, is Bet Yosef. Why? Because they're just selling everything together. That means that when I went, for example, myself, to the supermarket, and I asked them the question, I said, listen, do you check for the slichot? Do you check slichot? Do you check the... I said, no, we don't check. We put everything together. Shtabach Shimo, I went to my Rav. My Rav said, 100% kosher, eat the meat, no problem. So what about this? What about that? He says, if you listen to that, you're apikos. I said, I don't want to be an apikos. He says, okay, so go eat the meat. Go eat the meat. There was a period of time, years ago, 5-6 years ago, I stopped eating meat for a short period of time. And I started becoming very, very weak. I didn't know it was because of that. I thought it was, I have Baruch Hashem, I have a lot of health problems for, 15 years now. Shtabach Shimo, 16 years. I'm in pain every single day of my life. Some days it's 24 hours a day. Sometimes it's a little less, depending on whether I have a shiur or not. But Shtabach Shemo, Kadosh Baruch Hu gives me with pain every single day of my life. So I figured that I'm getting weak, where sometimes literally I fall asleep on the dinner table. I thought it's because of all the problems that I have. Okay, it's another added problem. My Rav tells me, it's because you're not eating meat. So what does that have to do with meat? I'm eating chicken. I don't eat meat, I'm just eating chicken. Go eat meat, gives you strength. Rabbi says, I do like a little good boy. Like a good little boy. Go and bought meat and Shtabach Shimo, got strength. Why? You listen to your rabbi, you win. You listen to a Talmid Chacham who knows what he's talking about, you win. You're listening to people who just like to say things and cause an uproar, you lose 100% of the time. Especially if they're going against the Gdolei Ador. Anyone that goes against the Gdolei Ador, by default, canceled out. They're canceling themselves. Go against Rav Ovadia, go against Rabbi Yashiv, go against the Gdolei Ador. If one Gadol goes against another Gadol, that's one thing. But for somebody that's Talmid Chacham, good person, love the lectures, love the books, love everything, but you go against Gdolei Ador, something's wrong here. Something's wrong here. And a lot of times, these videos appear that go against the shchita, the slaughtering and the kashrut and so on. They come from all types of people who don't know what they're talking about. They simply don't know what they're talking about. One chumrah, for example, that I could tell you about, that I learned about recently, is to ask if for chicken, for the kashrut of chicken, if you are very stringent in your kashrut, you could ask them if they check, if they do the tzomet hagidim. This is a part of the leg. Sometimes like I said before, when they put the shots for medicine and things like that, sometimes they're not careful and they create a little bit of a hole. And people that are stringent consider that tarif. It's not tarif according to halacha, but if somebody is stringent, they need to check for that. But this is if you know what you're talking about. Most people don't know what they're talking about. They barely even know how to cook chicken. Needless to say, to check it. So there are certain things you can ask. Do you check for tzomet hagidim? Do you check for it? No, we don't check. Okay, no problem. You don't check. You don't check. Oh, which shchita? Who does it? Is Chabad? Is it a OU? Is it somebody else? Different Hasidut? Okay, this is good. They're all good. Chabad is good. The other OU is good. They're all good. Why? Because they all usually have multiple kashriyot. It's usually not just Chabad. On the stamp, it's usually Chabad and also U or OU. Or it's the Hasidut of some kind in New York or in Israel, and it's somebody else. Usually it's multiple kashriyot, and also they are very, they hold up to the standards of glat. Glat, more in so many words, is like the Bet Yosef. Glat is like Bet Yosef. So that's a person doesn't know that. He sees glat. No, it's not kosher. It's not kosher. Why? Because they're Ashkenazi, not Sfaradi. They're Sfaradi, I'm Ashkenazi. Nonsense. So a person needs to know that if you want to check, there is one thing that you can check for, even if you don't know what you're talking about. Because you don't know how they slaughter or they didn't slaughter. You don't know. You don't know if the meat is this or that. You don't know. What can you know? Simple. Both when it comes to chicken as well as when it comes to beef. Anybody that's in a slaughtering business, you buy meat from them, you ask them, do you have a policy of some kind to make sure that not violate basari taleh min ha'ain, meaning that they have the meat just handled by non-Jews at all times, and there's no mashgiach, there's no Jew to monitor them. Meaning there's no mashgiach on site at all. Now he doesn't have to be the mashgiach, doesn't have to be on top of the employees at all time. Now, if everybody's Jewish, you don't have to worry about this. But if there's non-Jews that are working, which is very common, non-Jews working, you have to make sure that there is a mashgiach on the premises at all times. Now, he doesn't need to be on top of their head like a bird on a nest. Doesn't need to do that. Just needs to be in the premises, be able to walk in and walk out at all times, meaning that they're always conscious where they know that they can't play games. They can't play games. They can't do things. If you have a mashgiach on the premises, you don't have a problem with basari taleh min ha'ain. You can eat the kashrut, no problem. Enjoy your meal for Shabbat, for during the week. I don't know how often people eat meat and chicken and so on, but bottom line is, go enjoy the meat. Now you have to go check these things. The questions that I'm asking you, as far as do they have Bet Yosef or no? They say don't have Bet Yosef. You ask them, do you check for sirchot or no? If they don't check for sichot, that means that everything is allowed to you as Sephardi or Ashkenazi. They don't check for sichot, you are allowed there because you're relying on a double doubt that what you're eating is Bet Yosef. What you're eating is Bet Yosef. And the next thing is you have to check whether there's a issue of basari taleh min ha'ain, which is whether there is no supervision. There's no mashgiach. He opens the door, he leaves everybody there, and he comes back in a few hours. That's a problem. That's a problem. But if there's somebody there all the time, and perhaps there's shifts and so on, but there's always somebody there, then you are okay. You can go buy your meat and enjoy it. And as far as the real issues usually are with people, not with the kashriyot. Meaning, the store itself is unethical. Where sometimes I've seen where you have meat, it has a sticker on it. Okay, it has a sticker on it, but they're saying that they have kashrut and so on. Fine. You get the food to your house, you take the meat, looks good, you open up the meat, under it, all of it is mold. The whole thing is mold. Now this can happen once in a while, but if it happens on a multiple times on a regular basis, then you know there's something wrong. Then you know that perhaps the store itself, not the kashrut, the store itself is playing with the packaging. They're selling you bad meat, and unfortunately, that does happen. So I would recommend going to buy meat from places where the people running it are religious Jews, or they have a mashgiach that's a religious Jew that has yirat shamayim, that these people are reliable. Unfortunately, just because people are religious doesn't necessarily mean they have yirat shamayim. So you have to ask some of these questions. If they don't give you any answers to anything, or if they're nasty, or if you constantly have problems with them, find someone else. Find someone else. Find a different place that is going to sell you the meat. I mean, I remember for a while, I was ordering meat from a place in New York, and that I heard had good meat and good stuff. And then one time I ordered the food from them, and it arrived on Shabbat. Now I paid extra to make sure it comes before Shabbat. Not that I needed it for Shabbat. I already had meat, but I ordered it for the month ahead. So I paid extra to make sure it comes to me before Shabbat. Delivery came on Shabbat. On Shabbat. Now I got really upset about it because now I can't touch the box the whole Shabbat. It came like Friday night or something like that. I paid for it to come on Thursday. It came on came Friday night. It's already Shabbat. That means the box has to stay outside and defrost quickly, the whole Shabbat, the whole, it's going to be 24, 25 hours that it's outside. I can't touch it. It's muktzeh. It's a problem. It's this, it's that. It's annoying. Now, that in itself doesn't make me cancel out my agreement with the company. But when I called them, when I contacted them, listen, I paid extra for it to come for this. So what if it arrived on Shabbat? That was their response. As soon as they told me, so what if it arrived on Shabbat, I know that even bubble gum with a kosher stamp on it, I wouldn't buy from them. As soon as they showed me that they have zero Yirat Shamayim, I can't rely on anything that they say. Doesn't matter what. As soon as they told me, so what, it came on Shabbat, they don't care. That's it. They could have a stamp from Gan Eden, it wouldn't matter to me. Same thing with another place, I would buy meat from them, and many times I'd see it as mold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. No, come on. What do you got, a mold infection here? What's going on? I realize this is a whole criminal strategy of the operation. I wouldn't buy a newspaper from that place. I wouldn't buy a newspaper anyway. But I'm saying nothing I would buy from them. Nothing. Why? The people are criminals. Another place I went to, the people are cursing each other, yelling at the customers, cursing the customers. Same thing. I wouldn't go there. Now, if you have kashrut, where you have the people running the place, decent people, ethical people, there's a mashkiach, ethical and so on, you are not allowed to cancel them out and say that they're not selling kosher meat, that they're selling people taref. Not allowed. Not allowed. And if you listen to anybody that's telling you so, you are practicing apikosut, heresy. No different than Manis Friedman. No different than all these other Reshayim that we have. Why? That's what it is. That's what it is. You cannot just decide for yourself that the whole world is wicked people. Can't do it. Can't decide the whole world is wicked people. You have to know what you're talking about. You have to check. You have to make phone calls or have somebody that knows what they're talking about make phone calls. Point being is, you can't just cancel out the whole world and say, no, I'm just going to assume that there's no kosher meat on planet Earth anymore. This is a mistake that a lot of people make. So again, like I said, there's a lot of details when it comes to shchita that people, not only they don't know it, they already assume the wrong answer. They assume the wrong answer, like the examples that I gave, and this is a very, very big mistake. We've all made it, and Baruch Hashem that you asked the question, so at least today we learned it, because I have no idea what other time I would ever talk about this topic.
Seven years of lectures. Seven months of film editing. Countless hours of study by two rabbis. Information we received over 3,000 years ago. All for this moment. TIKKUN HaBRIT. The movie.
There's a small number in your life. It shouldn't take over your whole life. If you satiate it, you're never going to have enough.
The Sofer clan, when it gets a hold of something, it does not let go.
Time for us to rectify what we have done.
Normal numbers should be somewhere around 20 million or higher.
You're never going to have control of it. If you start it, and only feed it when it's permissible, according to the Torah.
Pornography is as addictive as crack cocaine.
You're always going to be happy, including this world and the next. Baruch Adonai Le'olam, Amen.